Hello people, and happy Sunday. It's Gino here again from Real Everyday English, and I'm back with my weekly vocabulary building video for you people today. But before we start with that, how has your week been? I'm personally doing very good. I've just been for my routine Sunday morning run, and now I'm just drinking plenty of water because I believe that drinking water is very important to the health of your mind and your body. Very important. But this also presents an opportunity to talk you through some vocabulary. I know you might think that sounds strange, but let's get into it and hopefully you'll agree with me by the end of this video. Come on, let's go. Okay, so the first thing I'd like to discuss this week is different words to describe taking an actual drink of a fluid or liquid. And it's to take a drink, but there are some other words which we use. And the first one I'd like to demonstrate for you is to take a sip. Now, to take a sip of something means a little tiny drink. So this is me taking a sip of my water. Just a little bit, just a sip. And another similar word that we use in English is the word swig. And the word swig means to take a substantial mouthful or drink of the fluid which you are drinking. So this is me taking a swig of my water. So you can see that time I took quite a big mouthful and I had to gulp the liquid down my throat. So that is a swig, and it means to take a big drink. Another piece of vocabulary I can teach you using water, or any other fluid for that matter, is the word to pour. Now, to pour simply means to flow water from one container into another. So I am now pouring the water into the glass. And that is to pour. I have now poured a glass of water. I just want to add to that another way we use the word pour is to describe when it's raining very heavily outside. You might say, oh, it's absolutely pouring it down out there. The rain is pouring down, and it means that it's raining very, very heavily. So that's another useful piece of vocabulary that you will hear all the time, especially in England, because we love to talk about the weather. Okay, so another useful piece of vocabulary you can use when talking about fluids or water or juice or whatever fluid or liquid it might be is the verb to spill. And to spill, the dictionary definition is to allow or to cause a liquid or fluid to flow over the edge of its container, usually unintentional. So if I'm talking to you and I accidentally knock over the bottle, the water will spill onto the table. Oh no, I've spilled my drink. I've spilled my drink. What am I going to do? So I take the tea towel and I wipe up the water, because the tea towel will soak up, it's like a sponge. It will soak up the liquid, so then I can wipe it up. So this is to wipe up or to soak up the spillage. You can see it's gone because I've wiped it up. So again, if I knock that over by accident and it spills onto the table, oh, I've spilled my drink. This is what we call a spillage, and we soak it up using the tea towel. So that is to spill. Okay, so the next piece of useful vocabulary that I want to talk you through is the word to rinse. And you also might hear the word swill. So that's to rinse or swill something. And it's similar to the word wash, but the difference between wash and rinse or swill is to wash something, I use soap. So this is me. I have some soapy water down here. So this is me washing the glass with soap. And now I'm going to demonstrate me rinsing the glass to demonstrate the difference for you. Okay, so now I've washed the glass in the soapy water. Now I need to rinse all the bubbles and soap off. So this is to rinse or to swill. So I have now rinsed the glass. I can leave it to dry. So that is to rinse something or to swill something out using water. Something else we can do with water is to wet something. So to demonstrate this, I'm going to wet the cloth. So if I turn the tap on and put the cloth underneath, the cloth is now wet. So we would describe this as a wet cloth, but there are two other pieces of vocabulary that can mean the same thing. So if I put this under there, the cloth is now drenched. Now drenched means very, very wet, and there's also another word that means the same thing, and that is saturated. So we could say the cloth is now saturated, and it means completely wet all the way through. And that leads me on to my next piece of vocabulary, which is the word damp. So we have a wet cloth, and if I squeeze the cloth out, squeeze most of the water out of it, we would now describe the cloth as damp, which means slightly wet or not saturated but still wet, but we would describe that as a damp cloth. So when something is damp, it is a little bit wet. Something I just wanted to add to the words drenched and saturated. They are two words that we use to describe, especially when you're very wet from being outside in the rain and the rain is coming down heavily. You could say, oh, I'm absolutely drenched. I'm absolutely saturated. I'm soaked. And that means that you are very wet from the rain because it's raining heavily outside. And again, you'll hear that all the time here in England because it rains a lot. It's actually raining today. And moving swiftly on, something else we can do with water is to freeze it, to make it frozen. So you can see this is my freezer. That's the fridge. This is the freezer. And if we freeze water, it makes ice. So as you can see, the water is frozen solid. Oops, it's smashed. But it's frozen solid. And something we can do with this is to melt it. So if I run my hot tap, the warm water tap, and I put the ice underneath it, the ice will melt. So if I can just get the ice off the tea towel, if I put the ice under the hot tap, the ice will start to melt. And you can see that the ice is now melting because it's getting smaller. I just need to turn that tap on a little bit more. And the ice is still melting. You can see the ice is melting away. So that is to melt. And we also use the word melt to describe when metal, for example, gets heated up, or plastic, and it melts into a liquid. So that is to melt. Okay, and for the final example this week, something else we can do with water is to boil it. So you can see I've got my kettle, and if I switch the kettle on, you can see the water level is up to here presently, but if you watch the water, it will boil. So as I switch the kettle on, and you can see the water is now starting to boil inside, and there's steam coming out of the top of the kettle. So that is steam that is coming from the boiling water. We can also use a pan to boil water, or any liquid for that matter. And we also use the word boiling or boil to describe when you're very hot. So if it's very hot in my house and I want to describe that I'm hot to somebody else, I might say, I'm absolutely boiling. Can you turn the heating down, please? So that is to boil or to be boiling. Hope it helps. And that is it for this week's video, people. As always, I hope you found it useful. If you did find it useful, then please feel free to share this with your English learning friends, because that will help me help more people improve their English. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you people in the next video. Bye bye for now.